Okay, real quick here. I just got a little adjustment needs to be done. This is a Mocenary MK-09. I purchased this from a one of the YouTube resellers online. When I received it, this has got a beautiful fit and finish. I really like the appearance and I really like the feel, the way the thumb studs work, the milling that's on the edges here of the titanium frame. It's got 20 CV steel. It's got a nice drop point. There's the Mocenary logo, MK-09. Rattlesnake, I guess, is the designer. There's a little logo with that, the CPM-30CV. So overall, I was super excited. But the first thing I noticed was this. Not sure if you can see that on the camera, but look at where we are, all the way over to the show side. And when I went to adjust, this has a fixed barrel. So on the show side, you can adjust the pivot. It just spins and spins and spins. So I spent some time, took it apart, and found out that the either the screw or the pivot itself is stripped. I reached out to the seller. They offered me a return right away, but I told them at the time I was going to reach out to Mocenary, which I did. They are in China. I emailed them and probably received a message back within 15 or 20 minutes. After a little back and forth, sent them some pictures. I'll show you the pictures that I sent them here. Pivot screw won't tighten down. See that? Just keeps spinning, spinning, spinning. Um, Pretty quickly, they responded, "Hey, well, it's in the mail. Be patient because with China Post, it's going to take about a month." That's actually what happened, and pretty much just set it aside, forgot about it. And yesterday, I checked the mail, and guess what I had in the mailbox? So, pretty excited about that. You can see here the pivot. They use it's a T8 head. They use a pretty small screw. So I'm going to be extra careful putting this together. You can see it's got a D-shaped barrel, so hence the fixed barrel. So this should be kind of fun. Won't take long because I'm going to use the Benchmade pivot tool to get that pivot out and try and keep the whole knife together. If you guys have not used the pivot tool made by Flytanium when you're dealing with some of these pivots, you're really doing yourself a disservice because it absolutely makes things much, much easier. And I can't remember exactly. I believe that the size lines up pretty good. So let's go ahead and just get this done. You can see here it's a little bit tricky because it's so stripped I can't even get it to come out. So what I had to do last time was put a little bit of pressure on the scale to kind of encourage it to work itself out some. There, now I have it out a little bit and I can just keep twisting it with my finger. And there's that. I just didn't put the pocket clip back on just in case I wanted to do a full disassembly again, which I really don't right now. So you can see the flat side of the pivot is facing towards the back spacer region. So we're just going to take that, kind of get in here, make sure we get everything lined up nicely, hopefully, and slide through. There we have it. So now there is the original pivot and screw, and you can feel how grindy all that is. Yeah, and see, it just slides right back out even without twisting in that region right there. So we'll set that aside. Now, I'm not going to use any pivot lube right out the gate, mostly because I don't want to do anything to kind of lock this thing in or make it difficult to take it apart later. So hopefully this all works well. I did this a few times already, so I'm hoping I can keep up the good work here. So we're just going to take it and there we go. Most of the way in, almost there. Just off a hair. There we go. All right, we're all the way in now. Okay, so that was fairly easy. Now's where I want to be super careful because I don't want to strip this in any direction. So we're going to try and get, I don't know if it was stripped because somebody abused on it prior or if it was just super easy to strip and somebody was just trying to tighten the pivot. So I don't want to find out the hard way. All right, that feels like it's going in pretty good. I'm just going to do the hand tighten so I don't put any extra forces. Okay, now we're going to look at that and we're going to see if this thing centers up as I tighten down. There it is. That is almost dead center. Just a little bit more. Yeah, that's pretty much dead center. Wow. Very nice. And this thing has had no lubrication, straight out of the box. Yes, it was about used, but unused, I guess is the best way to put it. So let's go ahead and put the clip back on. So you can see here, you have to take the clip off to get to the screw to take that scale off. It's kind of interesting. Let's see, are these oh, nice. Pocket clips are T8 as well. So that's kind of nice. Again, trying to be smart and be gentle here. Because again, I don't know what exactly caused that problem before. But I am pretty excited because, you know, when I'm looking on some of these reseller websites, one of the things I appreciate about the reviewers that then sell the knives that they've reviewed or have a marketplace that they allow others to sell is that often I'll see knives that I may not see elsewhere without looking for them. So you get exposed to some unusual patterns. I had never heard of Mocenary. And I had seen the picture of this knife several times when on the website, and it just seemed to speak to me. So, okay, let's take a look at this overall. Let's get all this out of the way. And let's start fresh. Okay, so we have a Mocenary MK-09 in a titanium, milled titanium with some really nice texturing here on the side. Here too, all the way down the edges. Everything feels pretty nicely knocked down. I wouldn't call it chamfered. It's more like it has beveled edges. A titanium pocket clip. Yep. With some really cool, take a look at that. Like that texturing that's on there gives you a really good grip this way, not as much that way. But this way, a really good grip. So 20 CV blade, it is not a thumb stud. It's more of a thumb wedge, which has kind of a deep blue, kind of a royal blue almost appearance to it. We have a little gold pivot collar on both sides. You can see there where we could take that thumb wedge off. Its lockup, let's find out. Lockup's at about, what, maybe 30%? Probably about that. So we got plenty of room to go. One thing that was interesting when I just flicked it, you have to watch for is, look at that. Gotta watch for that. It's going to catch your finger every time. And you don't have a reverse flick option. So you only have this. This really works well in like a slow roll. And then the front flipper. That front flipper is very nice. Easy. It's got good jimping all the way up to the edge. Don't know if, oh, the reach over. Look at that. Super easy. Probably because that point of that front flipper comes up so high. Pretty good action considering it's had no break-in, no lubrication. No, like zero blade play now. I imagine it's possible I could lighten that pivot a little bit, but we are so dead centered. I really don't want to make a lot of like play adjustments. I want to see how that pivot holds just like it is without any Loctite. The tricky part is getting used to where to hold it when doing like a thumb flick. And you really can't push up. You got to be kind of wedged in so that you're pushing out. So I'm kind of doing this, got my finger in like that, and then I'm kind of coming in that direction. And then it just flies out. But honestly, I'd probably deploy it like that, unless I'm doing polite company and I just want to slow roll it. I can feel those ball bearings kind of rotating, so they probably need to clear a path. It's got a stone wash on that CPM-30CV. Very nice. Very cool icon that they have there. It's like a Sparta helmet and a Sparta shield. So I'm just going to do a little bit of cleanup on the blade. If you guys haven't used this, the Camilla oil, I mean, you probably don't really need to oil 20 CV, obviously, but it does do a good job of prettying up the metal, getting off residues, tape, stuff like that. Sometimes I have to use alcohol, but and it kind of conditions the metal a little bit. That looks good. I'm just going to do a little polish on the titanium. You can see here it's got two little scuffs right there and there. I wonder if somebody tried to put that pocket clip for a left-hander. Got some nice jimping here on the back spacer. Maybe one of the best parts is everything's T8. You just don't see that often. So let's do a little bit of lubricating. Two spots that I'd want to lubricate. So I like to use the break-free clip. And let's put that actually on as close to the washers as we can. It's probably going to get me right there. I can just see the just try and get a little drop on each side. Oh, there we go. Try and get rid of that grindy feel. Okay. And then the second part, I usually take a little bit of heavy and I'll go right onto the little ball. I assume it's a ceramic. See right there, there's a little teeny ball, and that's the detent ball. And what that's doing is as the knife closes, see that the tang of the blade is sliding up onto it. Now the tang of the blade is holding it. It's got like a little track. And then when the knife gets to a closed position, that will actually drop into a little space on the side of the blade. And you saw it shift just a hair. So you see that? It's now setting in. That's what's keeping this knife from just opening up when you shake it. And it's creating a little bit of resistance so that when you go to deploy the blade, it has to overcome that resistance of that detent ball. Now, some knives have a detent ramp, which means there's a little groove in the actual blade that starts shallow and gets deeper as you get closer to that where the ball drops in on the side of the blade. Other ones don't, which means when you're going to unlock, you have to unlock it, lift it, overcome that part right there. You see it? Where I'm having to overcome that. So sometimes just putting a little drop of heavy lube, so not the same lube we use on the pivot, can help with just kind of lubricating that track of the detent ball. If I had the knife apart, I'd also put a drop actually in the hole on the side of the knife. So I'm just going to put that. You can see it's right there. And then I'm just going to do that. So now we have it perfectly centered. We have it nice and droppy. We have the detent ball lubed up and the bearings lubed up. So only thing I'm missing on here, the only thing I wish it had, is that reverse flick. I'm a big fan of reverse flicking. So there you have a Mocenary MK-09. All right, guys, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Thanks for joining us today, and hit that subscribe button. See you soon.